Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Separation Space with Sam and Rachel. This is episode number 5. Can't believe we've made it this far so far, Sam. We should be very proud of ourselves. And we've reached such a really sort of quite an important episode this month. So, part one, Sam and I are going to be really delving deep about the coaching industry in terms of what our experience has been, all the highs, all the lows, why Sam and I got into coaching in the first place, how we're finding the landscape in terms of the challenges, the expectations. We'll be discussing things like how we're finding social media and marketing. And we also want to sort of offer this out to any other fellow coaches as well in the foreseeable future. We'd love to hear from any maybe new coaches that are just joining, any of those that have been out doing it for years. If there's any pearls of wisdom that you can share with us, we'd love to hear from you. So, part one is all about coaching. And then we're really excited. Part two is men's mental health. And we've got the wonderful Simon Holland who's going to be joining us. He's a diary of a divorce and he's going to go through his quite personal journey as well, but also the outcome and how the benefits of what he's found in not only having coaching himself, but he's becoming a coach as well. So, Sam, my lovely, how are you? Are you okay? You have been away on holiday, haven't you? Something's telling me.
Oh,
Looking
yeah,
glowing and beautiful.
I'm
When
fine.
when it comes back all beaded, it's like amazing. I love it. How was your holiday?
It was amazing. Thank you. Yeah, it was actually really amazing. And you and I have chatted, haven't we, about you. You don't realise how much you need a holiday until you stop. And I think
Yes.
both you and I, because this is our second job, we both have full-time jobs plus our coaching. And I think as well with coaching, it's you put so much into it. And again, we'll go into that when we talk about it. But you put so much into it. It's literally when you stop, you think, oh my God, I'm actually quite tired. I need my
Yeah.
battery, refilled. So yeah, I had such a nice time. I haven't been away for a couple of years. Not even had a day off
Yeah.
actually. So it was really, really nice. I could have done with 2 weeks. That sounds really ungrateful. But yeah, it was really, really nice. And
I'm good. I'm good. I've got a holiday booked myself. I'm off to a beautiful Crete in August with my
yeah,
daughters. My God, yeah. I like you. It's like I haven't really had a break since last year. I feel like a swan sometimes, just sort of gliding through
yeah,
life, and then my little legs underneath the water are just going absolutely
yeah,
crazy.
yeah,
But yeah, I'm good. All things in the cleaning world that I do full time is has gone really
yeah,
busy, so I'm really grateful for that. So
yeah.
yeah, it's nice just to have these moments. I think these are really precious for us, aren't they, as well? So although we feel like
Mm,
this is part of our journey, it's also nice for us to reflect a lot and be really proud of what
definitely.
we're doing. Yeah,
Definitely, and I
good.
think as well, I think when you are a coach, especially the type of coaching that we do, which is so emotional, so emotive, and
Mm.
we get, and again, we'll talk about this, but we get so invested in helping our clients. You get
Yeah,
so depleted, and you don't really. And I remember at the very beginning when I was very naive and just qualified, and I thought, oh, wow, yeah, I'll do, a couple of 2 or 3 meetings back to back, and then you I've really, really learned that when you have a coaching session with a client now, because it's not, and again, we'll talk about this, it's not just that time that you're with them, it's all the preparation before and the reflection afterwards for
yeah,
us as coaches. You
yeah,
need some,
massively.
like after today, for instance, we've both said, haven't we, after we do these recordings, we're absolutely bushed and we have to go and sort of lie in a darkened room because you put so much into it, don't you?
We
And I
do.
think
I know.
until you've done it, and until you've practiced it,
Yeah,
yeah, it's really difficult learning when you're a coach, learning how to look after yourself so you can deliver the best service to your
yes,
clients, isn't it?
yeah.
And I know we'll talk about it more, but I saw a client yesterday that I first saw when I first qualified. And me, I could see the difference in me. My confidence with
Yeah,
her was
yeah,
massive, so much different. And I drove away from the session thinking, oh, yeah, I've not only is she's ready to go on to the next stage, but I had progressed so much as a coach. We were talking, and yes,
Yeah,
because before before our recordings, we obviously have a lot of preparation goes into it, and we were talking, weren't we, about how our confidence has grown so much since we qualified,
yeah.
because we're practicing it, you know.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think you and I are we have a very similar footprint on how we conduct our coaching
Yeah,
sessions as well, which again we'll touch on as well. So what I
yeah,
wanted to do, I
yeah,
wanted to slightly frame the beginning of this part and give you some really, really super sexy figures. I thought it'd be really nice to share with everybody a few statistics. And believe it or not, it's actually quite tricky to find some data out there around divorce. So just to recap with everybody, this is very divorce coach specific. So this is coaching. This doesn't include obviously nutritional, PT, well-being, empowering. So the figures that I've got are specifically for coaching, but also for divorce. These statistics, they've come from the Office of National Statistics and Mediate UK, so they're all legitimate figures. So did you know, around 42% of marriages at the moment in the UK end in divorce, which I thought was really high, 42%.
really.
In 2023, there was over 120,000 divorce granted in England and Wales. So finding the figures between 2023 to now was quite a struggle because I needed to see where, if it was going up or going down. Obviously, we'd want it to come down,
Yeah,
ideally.
yeah,
The average in 2025, there was approximately 110,000 no fault divorce applications made. So there's possibly still some divorce cases carrying on into this year, but it was 110, so it's slightly going up. The average marriage lasts around 12 years. Um,
yeah,
General speaking, so the baby boomer era, so our parents were more likely to remain in their marriage than potentially my generation and possibly slightly younger than me. And what I think possibly what's contributing towards that is that to get divorced now versus even 10 years ago, because obviously, as you very, very familiar with, Sam, that they changed the law, didn't they, on how, well, they changed the process, didn't they, to this no fault. So you don't have to go to court now to prove it was infidelity or, it was gambling or addiction. Da, 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 da. It's just an overarching. So because the process now has been made so much quicker, people are now realizing it's just so much easier to get out of a divorce rather than remaining. So again, there's pros and cons with that as well.
mm,
So, and also another thing that was really, really standing out for me is that most people report that the emotional impact of a divorce is harder than the legal process. We kind of
yeah,
know that, and that's why we're here, and that's why, again, we got into the coaching. And as we touched on at the beginning of the year when we talked about the grief cycle, that is a clear indicator that, when you're going through the divorce process in itself is actually very simple. Quite a straightforward process. They've made it very, very
yeah,
easy. However, the difference between it turning into a 32-week process, which from beginning to end, believe it or not, is how long it should take, into potentially 1, 2 years process is where, again, a coach and saving money
yeah,
and making good
yeah,
decisions and confidence come into it. So
yeah,
that's a few of the statistics. And then what I wanted to also do is have a look at how many coaches, again, just with divorce, how many coaches there are in the UK. And again, this blew me away, these figures. So these are registered coaches, so like you and I, Sam. Okay, so we've
mm,
trained, we're CPD, or there's other qualifications out there because coaching is unregulated at the moment. So anybody can really say they're a coach, but there's thousands and thousands and thousands of people out there that say they can be a coach, but it can drill down to those that, like us, where we've invested in ourselves to invest in you.
So,
Now, believe it or not, in the UK, there is 1,000, just 1,000 coaches registered as divorce coaches. Now, when
yeah.
you look at the figures of how many applications there are of a divorce, so 110,000, say 100, let's make the figures a little bit easier. So for every coach, there's 100 divorces potentially that
Yeah.
coach has got in ratio. So
Yeah.
what that demonstrated to me was the need for more coaches. There's not enough of us out
Oh,
there
mm,
to be
I
able to
completely.
support. Do you see what I mean? So it's like, I think it's getting better. I think the
Yeah.
coaching world in the divorce world is becoming more accessible, and obviously that's what we're here to talk about. Um, I was pretty astounded by that. I thought, wow, so that's literally a 1% ratio.
Yeah,
1%,
that's really
nothing.
interesting, isn't it? It's really interesting because,
Yeah,
like you say, we're led to believe in this work, in this current climate, that there is a saturation of coaches, but actually, in the
yeah,
niche field that we operate in, there isn't. And
no,
I
100%.
I meet many solicitors, and I've been, going to networking and going to lunches, and lots of them don't. Mm, they don't know that we exist actually. Um, and I think it's breaking through now. The firm I work for, obviously, we promote it. They know all about it and they work collaboratively, but a lot of solicitors don't. And
Yeah.
I went to a networking event last month, the end of last month, and I was talking to a barrister. So there was a barrister there. She was quite standoffish, and I thought, which made me want to break down that standoffishness even more. Anyway, I started
Oh,
chatting to her. She asked me what I did, obviously. Chat, chat, chat. She was not interested at all. Didn't, and it
mm,
was only when I persisted and she went, oh, actually, I can see the benefits of that. Yeah, I can see the benefits. Didn't
mm,
have a clue what someone like you or I would do. So there is a
yeah.
lot of work to do, but I think they are starting to
I think
uh,
so too. I remember
realise.
last year when I qualified, I did a little bit of networking with some local solicitors in my area, and I went and visited and had meetings with them and sat with them, and I gave them a presentation, showed them like how we can work together and collaborate and work alongside obviously the legal
Yeah,
team. Obviously we can't give
yeah,
legal advice, so that's one thing we have to be really
yeah,
clear. We can't give legal advice, but to be
yeah,
able to give their clients the emotional support, and it
yeah,
landed really well. But like you say, it takes time. There is definitely an education part with solicitors to try and get us on board to help them, and with mediators as well. Having a relationship with
yeah,
mediators. So Sam, tell
yeah.
me, talk to me about what made you to get into coaching.
Back in the day, as you know, as everybody knows, I practiced for about 20 odd years. I practiced in a quite a large national firm. I was part of quite a large team. And also back in the day, I went to court all the time. I mean,
Mm,
Thursdays was court day for children act proceedings. There were lots of final hearings for financial proceedings. I was in court a lot. But going back, sorry, fast forward to now, that has changed so much. You hardly ever get to a final hearing. It's not really court. You don't go to court. And I know everything's changed and everything's digital and everything, but it has changed. So back in the day, I practiced for 20 odd years and then had a career break. I was really lucky I could have a career break to bring up my daughter. Um, but loved it. I loved my job, and I went and I knew I wanted to get back into it. I didn't miss the legal pressure. I didn't miss, you know, it's a lot of pressure. Solicitors in family proceedings put up with a lot. It is tricky. And I didn't want to do that, but I miss the people and I miss supporting the people. So as time developed and I got to hear about coaching, divorce coaching, I thought that's something I could do. And so I
Mm.
decided to train to be a coach. To I know the procedure. I know it inside out. I always say this. I know it inside out, upside down, back to front. I know what happens. I know what courts expect. I know what solicitors expect. La la la. And clients are often so bamboozled and overwhelmed with what they have to do, form wise, procedural wise, meeting with their solicitor, and I can prepare them for that. And so I trained to be a coach, and the rest is history, really. But it
Yeah,
has been hard. If I'm perfectly honest, I thought, oh yeah, I'll be trained to be a coach, and everybody go, oh Sam, let's instruct you. You can help me. It doesn't work like that. Um, it's difficult to sh prove that you're worth. You've got to
yeah,
really jump through hoops actually, to show
yeah,
that show your worth. But in the middle of all
yeah,
that, and I didn't realise it at the time, aside from that, and my personal experience, I suppose, is my husband. I'm my husband's second wife, and when I met him, he was going through a divorce. He wasn't my client or anything like that, but I coached him, and I had to learn how to learn how to co-parent. I'm a stepmom, so I'm a mum, but I'm also a stepmom. And dealing with the fallout and the emotional and everything else the finances that comes with a divorce, I supported him. So I have lived it. He often said to me, "You coached me without you knowing you coached me, and I don't know where I would be now if I hadn't have had you, by my
yeah,
side." So
yeah.
yeah, I've never looked back. It's just, yeah, it works really well with the paralegal role, and I still work as a paralegal.
It
That's
really
my job,
complements
and
each other, doesn't it? It really
yeah,
complements
yeah,
the service that you provide, being having that expertise as well,
yeah,
with the process
yeah,
side of things, and then with the emotional
yeah,
side of things, and bringing it together. You
yeah,
can literally just
yeah,
walk through everything with the clients
yeah.
as well.
I think solicitors
Amazing.
need to promote or introduce, or it's difficult. I understand it's difficult for them to, know when to say about coaching, but I think that the sooner they say, or the sooner they can introduce a coach and say, look, I know of solicitors that actually don't have meetings, with the client,
That'd be amazing.
and that
Yeah,
is what we need to
that's
to
where we need to
develop, I
be.
think.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
where we need
yeah.
to be.
So yeah,
So if there's
yeah.
any
And what about
solicitors
you?
out there.
Let's see your
Yeah, so
story.
my story is I was married, married for just under 10 years, and I was very, very lucky, had an amazing solicitor, and she was just awesome. And I remember seeing her for the first time, and my mum was with me, and we sat there for an hour's consultation with her. And I ended up just having verbal diarrhea, explaining why I was there, all the emotional situation, the reasoning why I was there. Unbeknown to me, 20 minutes, half an hour into me blubbering and everything else, she sat there and went, right, Rachel, shall we crack on? I was like, okay, yeah, no, that's fine, yeah, we will.
I thought I
I
was
guess,
cracking on.
but we were cracking on. Unbeknownst to me, obviously, it's now very transparent that solicitors are there literally for the legal and the financial support. They're not there for the emotion. And although I was very lucky and she was there emotionally for me, she kind of said, we need to be main point now. We need to crack on, show me some figures. This is the divorce process. And I think
Yeah,
the realization when it dropped, I sometimes think to myself, was it Karen that helped me? She kind of said to me, "Have you thought about being a coach?" And I was like, "No, not really, no, I don't think I would like to." And it took about a couple of months afterwards, and I thought, you know what? I think I could. I really want to help you. I don't really want people to go through this. I really want people genuinely to divorce as peacefully as possible. Um,
yeah,
and I've always been a little bit interested in coaching with previous jobs, but it was more from a business perspective, more of being a business coach. Um,
yeah.
and then all of a sudden, I found the course. I entered the course, which is where you and I met, which most people should know now where how me and Sam met.
How we met.
And the rest
Yeah,
is history. The rest is really
yeah,
history. And I really had to weave my way through realizing that once I'd got qualified, I kind of was like, okay, I've got the basic tools. How do I now make that Rachel's way? So I know now both of us can confidently sit here, and when we're coaching people, we we're a massive advocate of what we preach is what we are also doing, because I think we
Yeah,
practice our tools on a daily basis already.
yeah,
So I kind of felt like, how do I turn this into our own coaching methodology, if that
yeah,
makes sense? How
yeah,
how does my coaching session look like? So took me a good year really of all, how much do I charge? What is, who do I start networking with? And
yeah,
the biggest default for everybody is social media. So we'll talk about social media. Social media is brilliant. I'm not going to say anything other than that. It is fantastic. But personally, I'm going to be brutally honest when it comes down to divorce and coaching. The clients that I have got or had, none of them have come from social media. Not one single one.
same,
Not from Instagram,
yeah,
Facebook, or LinkedIn.
yeah,
I would probably say, of the followers that I've got on Instagram, I dread to think how many of them do actually want to follow me in terms of, are they genuinely
yeah,
interested in hearing about the divorce story? Um,
yeah,
or I'm a massive advocate for supporting local businesses. So I try and support all of my local businesses in my area, whether they're relevant to me or not. I think that's really
yeah,
critical. Then I've got fellow coaches on there that follow me, but then I do,
yeah,
but there's so much hard work that goes in, and I feel so pressured into, oh my God, I've got X amount of followers that goes up one day, then it goes down. I've got people
yeah.
not
One thing you
following
do is
me,
like
unfollowing. I don't know
yeah,
what's going on with Instagram at the minute, but one minute it's going up, then it goes back down again. So I kind of
yeah,
have to switch that off. I can't concede to social media too much. What we're doing, things like this, I think are so much more powerful and rewarding for you and me in
yeah,
terms of getting our message out there about the challenges that we're experiencing in this industry, because
yeah.
it's bloody hard. I don't care what anyone
It is
says.
really
It's really, really hard. You get qualified as a coach. You and I are amazing coaches. We know we are. I know we can sit here and confidently say we are bloody amazing coaches and we work
yeah,
so hard. But we've also got to
yeah,
deal with the marketing. We've got to deal with running a business and the budget and what we're spending.
yeah,
And,
networking,
obviously, and then networking, and then what we're going to post on social media. It's like no
yeah,
one tells you, so you can slightly get hooked in. One of my favourite ones, become a divorce coach and you could be earning £6,000 a month. It's rubbish.
yeah,
You can,
yeah. It is
but
rubbish.
that's going to be a few years down
That's
the
down the
line,
line.
not as soon as you got your certificate. Honestly, so that's just my little rant on how I'm currently finding the coaching world. I think it's just important that we stay focused. How are you finding it, Sam?
I agree, and I think it's really important. I really compared myself, and I loved it when you just said that you wanted to put Rachel's stamp on it, and I felt the same. Um,
Mm,
I wanted to be me. I wanted to be me and to coach people in my style and give my stamp on it. But I really,
mm,
and I don't anymore, and I'm totally honest about this. I really used to compare myself and think, oh, especially on Instagram or social media, like, oh my God, they're doing that. I
mm,
should be doing that. Oh my God, oh my God. But really, really, people buy you and people come to
mm,
you because of you. And I know you and I have exactly the same ethos and standards on this, in that I don't want a client. I want to be authentic. So I want to be an authentic
mm,
coach and I want to help them do what they want to do. I don't want just to
mm,
charge clients money and tell them what they want to hear. I want to help them
yeah,
get up, get to where they need to be. So I do find it hard. I find it hard breaking into well, one, the networking is exhausting. You have
mm,
to do, and I think we've got our Instagram presence, we've got our Facebook presence, and we've got our LinkedIn. I'm not keen on LinkedIn, if I'm perfectly honest, which is probably a really bad thing to say, but I am not keen on
no, I
LinkedIn. Anyway,
agree. No, I
that's
agree.
another thing. I just don't like it. I never did when I was practicing. I never liked it. Um, People buy from people,
Massive.
and
It's a very old
I,
saying, but it is such
yeah,
so true.
yeah.
So true. You
And
can't
I
get
think
away
you
from that.
just have to chat about it. I came back from holiday on Monday and I was on the plane and it was a bit turbulent. I was scared, and the
Love the
lady
story.
next to me was a bit scared, and we started chatting, and she was so lovely, and she worked for the BBC in the legal department. So her friend is going through a really tricky divorce, needs some support, and I've got a discovery call with her friend next week. So you don't know who you're chatting to, and I never knew that about her, but we'd had a conversation before she even said to me about her friend. So I think
Yeah,
I think putting yourself out there, just talking about it, it's really hard,
yeah,
and going to
it is.
networking because, you know,
Yeah,
like, and I love that with you, like supporting local businesses.
yeah,
All businesses have people that work in businesses, and the figures of divorce, they, it's going to be there's somebody in that business may be getting divorced and may need your support. So
yeah,
I think the more you can speak to local people and in your
yeah,
local area, I think it's so important. And people
yeah,
definitely buy from people, especially in this. And I think we were led to believe when we were coaching, oh, you can coach all over the world. And you can have clients. I've had a client in Kuwait. You can,
yeah,
but
yeah,
they're not just going to run to you. Decide what you want to be as a coach, who you want to be, what your
yeah,
what your morals are, I suppose, your values. Again, we talk about that because we practice what we preach, we live by that.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and live, try not to be swayed either way and just continue on your path. It's really hard because social media is
mm,
so noisy.
yes,
And
yeah,
uh, and also try not to be disheartened. Rachel, we could write a book on how many clients have contact. I mean, as well, sometimes clients just aren't ready, so they think, oh my God, you question yourself. Is it me? Have I just said something wrong?
yeah,
Do they not like me?
yeah.
But I think if we flip
We do
it and say,
self-sabotage ourselves. Oh,
yeah, yeah, it's me.
it
But I
is,
think if you flip
it
it and
is.
say, well, actually, they're just not in a real right place.
Yeah.
So I suppose I've had to develop a bit of a thick skin,
Yes,
as
of
far as
course.
that's concerned. But I
Yeah.
think
And
in the long run, I saw that lady yesterday that I said, and I could really feel that I was more confident.
yeah,
I was different,
yeah,
And I know
yeah.
you've had that experience as well.
Yeah, massively, massively. And I think anybody
Um,
out there as a message, if you're thinking about becoming a coach or you're, wanting to enroll and get into the coaching world, it is an amazing, amazing opportunity. And I think the
yeah,
self-development that I've personally
oh,
gained from doing this coaching, and of
yeah,
course you've got to be passionate about it. You've got to want to help people.
yeah,
You've got to have that fire in your belly. Both of us have got our full-time jobs. They're our bread and butter. And I know
yeah,
ultimately one day we both want the scale to tip. And I would love to coach all day long, every single day if I could, but it
yeah,
takes time. It takes time to build up our brand, our
yeah,
reputation, our
yeah,
testimonials.
yeah,
Getting website awareness, is really critical. Networking.
yeah,
Now I constantly walk around with business cards in my bag. I was at a friend's party a couple of months ago and got chatting to this lady I'd never met before, a bit like yourself with the lady on the aeroplane,
yeah,
and ended up giving her my business card because she just spent the last 10 minutes
yeah,
slagging off her husband that she couldn't stand the sight of anymore and wants to get a divorce.
yeah, yeah,
So I'm like, give me
yeah,
a phone call and we'll talk about this and we'll just
yeah,
we'll break this down. I could dish out 10 or 15, 20, 30 business cards. It only takes that one person. It really does only take that one person to pick up the phone. And I think
yeah,
it takes a lot of courage. You've seen it from your husband's perspective, you've seen it from my
yeah,
perspective. It takes courage to pick up that phone and make that initial phone call. I mean, Sam and I could sit here all day and tell you what the benefits are of having a coach. And I've said before as well, we know there's so many people that sit on the fence and go, I don't know. Is it a bit, do I need a coach? You know, there's probably two things for me that really stand out. Not only it's mainly the emotional support. I don't care what anyone says. You have your friends and your family around you. And ordinarily, as I've experienced, I'm the only person within my friendship network, really close friendship network, that's gone through a divorce. And whilst I love them to pieces and they're there for me and they can support me, but when it really comes down to making some real critical decisions about the financial order, about needing some guidance on being sensible about co-parenting, you do need like a third party to be able to just walk with you and see things from
Mm,
non-judgmental state. We both have a very similar footprint on how we do our coaching sessions. I think about
yeah,
my clients pretty much all the time because we're
me
working
too.
really closely. We work really closely with you.
Yeah.
It's not a case of just you ringing up, having a discovery call, and then booking in for an hour session. You're never going to
No.
resolve everything in one session. So we're very passionate about making sure we check in with you before we have our sessions with you. We do reflection forms that we get you to fill in. I know with Sam and I work very, very exactly the same with this. We have a lot of time leading up to our coaching session, so we can tailor it and we can make sure we're homing in on all of those. So with coaching, it is a two-way thing. You do work with us because we're
Definitely.
not there to give you the answers. We're there to really enlighten you and start making you realize, like you said, you've had so many clients that have had that light bulb moment and gone, oh my God, because we
Oh, I
ask
didn't
the right
realise that. But
questions.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, we ask the
yeah,
right questions. We give you confidence, and these are life
yeah.
tools, and they're not just tools. Like I had this amazing podcast that I listened to recently, and she said about divorce coaching. We can talk to you about the benefits of a boundaries and the values, all the stuff that Sam and I have already spoken about. Where the real hard works is when you have to practice them. So it's a bit like building a house without any tools. You can't build a house with no tools. You have to pick up them
Yeah,
tools and reuse that hammer, reuse that spanner. You have to do the carpentry. You keep practicing, and that's what we're here then to do. We give you the tools and the concepts, but it's not like all of a sudden you're never going to feel anxious or feeling angry. You'll still have all of those
yeah,
feelings and emotions, but we help you sit with them and deal with them better, and that's for me where you see the results come through when your clients
yeah,
are going through that journey and you think, oh my God, they're starting to go to that tool bag and start using that organically without being clunky and having to
yeah.
go back to
And
it. And that's what I love.
don't you think, and don't you feel, I feel I've changed so much as a person since I qualified as a coach and
Oh,
started practicing. I'm
100%.
so different, and
Yeah.
I think for me, for the better, it's changed my life being a coach
Yeah.
totally and utterly.
Yeah.
The other thing I
We
wanted to
are.
say as well is never undersell yourself as a coach. So never you always know your worth. You can make a difference to that person's life. You are you as a coach, and you should never ever undersell your value and service. That's really
Yeah.
important, I think. And
Yeah.
people will
And
pay you because of you,
yeah. Yeah.
for
Yeah.
your
100%.
expertise, for your slant on things.
Yeah. Because I
Yeah,
think as well, people sometimes think, oh, the monetary value, the cost implications. But I know categorically, very confidently, that if you have a coach on board to help you whilst you're going through your divorce, whether it's at the early stages, in the middle, or even afterwards,
yeah,
there you will save money. And I know that's a very bold statement to make, but what happens is I'll give you an example. I, I did share this with you obviously on the last episode. I obviously had a solicitor when I was going through my divorce, but my future ex-husband didn't, and that was his choice. But there were certain conversations that would come up, and I would never forget messaging my solicitor saying, "Oh my God, we're starting to split hairs now on who has the coat hangers, who has the cutlery, who has da da da." how we're going to split everything. And she was like, well, would you like me to send him an email and start drilling? Yes, please. I think this needs to be done more fairly. And anyway, those emails, 25 quid, 50 quid here, £100
Yeah,
there, back
yeah,
and forth. There's me,
yeah.
getting on a little bit of a rampage. God, if the Rachel got divorced today compared to the Rachel that got divorced nearly
Yeah,
3 years ago, it would be a completely different story. It'd be done, no,
yeah,
none of this. It would have been fair, peaceful, and I can guarantee my relationship with my now ex-husband would be a lot better than where it is today. That's work in progress. But I was racking up all of these costs on just talking about coat hangers. She's charging me nearly £300 an hour. Had
yeah.
I had a coach and I'd have checked in with he or she, they'd have gone, right, slow down. Let's think about this.
Does it matter
Does it
about
really does it
Yeah,
really need your attention right now? Do we need to
yeah,
think about things a little bit more importantly? I'd have had an hour's
yeah,
coaching session, which would have been considerably cheaper,
yeah,
and
yeah,
gone, oh,
yeah,
you're right. And then that would have
yeah.
taught me going forward. I'll go, no, actually, I remember my coach telling me, right, I need to make sure going forward, slow down, don't respond, take your time, do it from a place of peace. And, so that's
That's such a good
that's why
example,
I can
Rachel.
confidently say having a divorce coach throughout your journey, we do save you money. I don't care what anybody are so passionate about your journey, and
Mm.
we don't just have coaching sessions with clients and go, right, lovely, that's it now. We
Yeah,
check in with you. We'll send you emails. We'll send you a little text message. Are you okay? I do that with
yeah,
all the clients. I do follow up. We both do follow up notes of the coaching session, so our clients can reflect back, because there's so much you talk about in a coaching session. So a coaching session with us is more about how we nurture you at the beginning, how we then have the chat. Sometimes that can be, if logistics work, it can be face to face, but ordinarily
yeah,
it's over the phone or Zoom, and then we follow up with you afterwards. So we're with you with a massive journey.
yeah,
So
yeah,
they are the huge benefits of having a coach.
yeah.
I'm just, if I
Absolutely.
could just fly around telling everybody they need a coach in there, everyone needs a coach in their life,
So,
whether it is a
oh,
divorce coach or just a life coach. Do you know
okay.
what I mean?
Yeah, it's invaluable. And like I say, it's changed me as a person, definitely. And I know we've had this
Yeah,
conversation that
100%. I
has
know.
changed us
Yeah,
both.
yeah. It
And I would
has.
never
It
have
has.
met you, Rachel.
I know. I know. Isn't that bonkers? You do look back and you think, God, if only I'd seen that red flag, if only I'd noticed that, I'd never. But you kind of have to go through life for a reason.
Yeah,
We're not here to give you a world of paradise that you're never going to feel sad ever anymore. You're never going. Of
yeah,
course you are. But you're still going to have your
yeah.
feelings and emotions, and we go into so much more detail about which we can't cover that off in a podcast. But there's so much
Exactly.
we go through with that. Um,
Yeah,
and you get to being an example of what is possible. It's one of my
yeah,
power sentences, and you've got an
yeah,
amazing power sentence as well. And it's
yeah.
just, yeah, it's just absolutely awesome.
Spread the word on coaching, really. And it's not woo woo, it's not a luxury, it's a necessity,
Yeah,
especially within the divorce arena. Mm,
massively, massively. And I think it's just good for us to be really transparent about the real
yeah,
highs and lows of coaching and the coaching industry. And all
absolutely.
I can say is if there is anybody out there that wants to talk to us, we are
Always.
want to support any other fellow coaches, because you can feel a bit isolated as well. I think sometimes in the coaching world you do feel a bit observe what other coaches are doing and go, oh God,
Oh,
she's
absolutely.
doing so much on LinkedIn at the moment. She's doing all of these amazing things. It looks fabulous, and I feel really rubbish because I just don't know if I'm doing the right thing. Just reach out to us, because I
Yeah,
kind of had that vision for our future as well, is that one day that we're
yeah,
there to support others, and others
yeah,
with a bit more expertise to come and join us and go, look, just we don't want to gatekeep anything.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Listen, thank you so much. As always,
Thank
it's
you.
so lovely to
Yeah,
see
lovely
you.
to
And
meet you.
we're
And
going to
yeah,
finish off, and we have got part two coming up next. And we've got the amazing Simon that's going to come in and join us, and we're going to sit back and let him talk about all of the men's mental health and how
yeah,
men sort of struggle in silence. Include Sam and I are very inclusive. We coach anybody, so we coach men and women, single sex, same
yeah,
sex. You know, we're here to support
yeah,
everybody.
very,
We wanted to bring Simon on because, he's going through it himself. So we will introduce
yeah.
him in part two, and we'll look forward to seeing you soon, my lovely.